Okay, so I'm pretty sure everyone who spends a decent amount of time on the internet knows what booktok is. It's a community on TikTok that makes you realize that just because somebody likes reading does not mean that they have good taste in literature. The recommendations there are not just bad, they're questionable. I haven't read the really bad ones, but I know that they recommended this book Haunting Adeline, where apparently she falls in love with a kidnapper or uh the person that assaulted her. And then also the most popular author is I think Colleen Hoover, and I've read some quotes from her books. Like one was, "We laughed at our son's big balls." Um okay, you know, I don't even want to know the context of that. But yeah, and also I have not heard good things about her. Apparently, in one book, I think it's November 19 or something like that. She falls in love with a guy that burned her. So yeah, BookTok has a thing for really weird and toxic books, and it's kind of by now people have started mocking this community online. Like on TikTok, I've seen a lot of people criticize it, especially for the obsession with spies that every book needs to have explicit scenes for them to enjoy it, which is pretty ridiculous and not good. Anyway, the purpose of this video was that I decided that I will talk about the books I have read on BookTok and also rank them. Some of them were really awful because it is BookTok, but some others were pretty good because there are actually also a lot of people with good taste. You just need to go to the fantasy and classics community. But yeah, I've read more books than the ones in the video, but the ones in the video are the ones that I've seen a lot on BookTok, so that's why I have them. And I will go from the lowest place to the highest because that makes it more interesting. Okay, number 9 is The Hating Game, which is a book I was actually really excited to read because it was enemies to lovers, and I do like the trope. I just like it because of the slow burn and this development from hating someone to liking them and seeing good parts of them. But this book did an awful job at portraying that because they didn't really have a good reason to dislike each other. It's just he was rude to her on the first day, and so she was mad, and they were just rude to each other. They also had no reason to like each other. They just did, and it's there was no real development. She acted, the main character acted extremely annoying. Not only did she talk about how short she was every 5 pages, she also just was an embarrassment. She acted so out of place sometimes. So yeah, that book is on the last place, especially because I hate this when people just force enemies to lovers. They hate each other for no reason, and they don't even really hate each other. They the entire time they liked each other. They were just rude about it. That's not enemies to lovers. It's really not good. If you're gonna do enemies to lovers, then do it well. I feel like it should only exist in fantasy because then it's done well. Or maybe in real life, academic rivals to lovers, but often enemies to lovers, it's either toxic or they don't really hate each other. Yeah, it needs to be done well, otherwise it's trash. Okay, the next is The Selection. Okay, so I read this when I was it's been a while. I think I was 14 when I read it. So I liked the first book, and the last book I did really like. But the second book I don't remember much. I just know that the main character, every character was actually really annoying, and they behaved very idiot. The main character was an idiot. I remember she revealed some secrets about the history of their country to them, and she wanted the system to be reformed. But when she was asked how, she said she didn't know. So why even suggest that in the first place? Yeah. My friend also, I recommended her to read these books, and she hated me after that because the second book was just awful, and the characters were so annoying for no reason. Generally speaking, this was it was also so dragged because I feel like you could have finished it in one book. You didn't need to go that long. And also, Husband's Return wasn't necessary. He was also really annoying. He was just there, and I mean, it was obvious that you wouldn't choose him. Also stupid. But yeah, also the entire concept was so silly. They pick some random girls to go and compete to get married to this prince. I mean, well, I mean, I guess that is kind of like can be fun to read about, especially if you're a fan of The Bachelor. But yeah, it was fine. It was like decent written fan fiction, but the second book was a nightmare. Yeah. Okay. On seventh place, I have Love and Other Birds. Okay, so now we're actually getting to more positive things. I actually like this book. I just found it a bit boring because, like, I mean, it was a regular romance, and romance isn't really my genre to begin with, I think. Yeah, so I like prefer fantasy. So yeah, this was just a regular romance, so it's not like something really epic or really like there was a lot of tension there or anything like that. So it was a bit boring, but it was also cute. So it's like about these childhood friends who like they grew up together. However, then they had a falling apart, and now we like get to see a few chapters that play in the past, and meanwhile also chapters that now play in the future where they're like reconnecting. And that was actually pretty interesting, especially to get to the point where they had their falling out and why it was. The ending did get me really emotional, so it was actually a really sweet book, and I would recommend it, especially if you like romance. Just now, I mean, it's romance, so it's not like it's something really interesting, but it is a really good romance. Like it's good for its genre. Um. Anyway, on sixth place I have Daisy Jones and the Six. Okay, this one I did really like. It's like about this girl, Daisy Jones, who grew up with not the best parents, and she joins like this band called the Six, and there she has like tensions with the character Billy, and I really liked it because it's like the characters were all really complex and interesting. I liked the tension between Daisy and Billy, and I really liked Billy and his relationship with, I forgot her name, but yeah, he was married to this woman, and their relationship wasn't the best. He like didn't treat her really well, but she was very patient with him, and in the end he chose her, and he chose to become mature for her. And I mean, it was toxic, but it was really interesting to read about, and I also liked his tension between him and Daisy and how he did his best to avoid her for the sake of his wife. So I thought this was really interesting, and also just the characters. I mean, I also really liked Karen. I liked Graham. I liked all these characters. They were really interesting. And I also really liked the style where they like told everything through this interview. So I really liked that. Okay, so on fifth place, Ace of Spades. Okay, this one is really good. So it's like a mystery because there's this app. No, there's this secret person who like tells secrets about the students, and it seems like they're targeting like two students in particular, and then these two students they start working together to figure out what is going on. And it's like it has really interesting and nice characters. Like the main girl, she's like this perfect student, but she's also really insecure. And then the guy, he's like comes from a poor neighborhood, and he also like struggles with his life. And also their friendship was really cute, how they then got to have like this really sweet platonic relationship. And it was also really interesting, right? There was a lot of tension, especially I don't want to spoil anything, I don't want to say too much, but this is actually a book I would really recommend because it's like it's really good. So yeah. Anyway, on fourth place I have The Kiss of Deception. Okay, so this one is like my genre, it's fantasy, and yeah, I really did like it. It was like about this girl called Leah. She's like a princess, and she was about to have an arranged marriage with a guy she didn't know, and she didn't want this marriage, so she ended up running away. But then she meets two guys, and those two guys are like, one is an assassin meant to kill her, and one is like the prince she was supposed to marry. And I did like it. I enjoyed learning about the lore of these countries, and also like in between the chapters we have this like short story which is like a bit confusing, but I feel like I need to get the next books to understand it properly. But yeah, that was really interesting, especially she was supposed to have a power, but she believed she didn't, and but it seems like she did. I don't want to say too much about that, but yeah, one thing that bothered me was that the romance between her and the guys didn't make much sense because there wasn't really a reason for them to like each other. Like, I really want these sort of slow burn romances where there's like the reasons why they start liking each other and like a genuine development towards them liking each other. On place three, I have The Cruel Prince. Okay, I really like this one. The main character, she's a really interesting character because she's not like this perfect heroine. She's more heroine. Sorry, hero. English isn't my first language, but yeah, she isn't like perfect. She's more of a morally gray character, and I really like that to see her complexity. And I also do like her ship, like Jude with Carden. I do like that ship. Even though it's like not too focused on the romance, I feel like with BookTok, the way they marketed it, it seemed like it would be really heavy on the romance, but it's more heavy on the politics, which is also really interesting. So it's generally a really good series. I have only read the first two, but I am planning to read the third soon. Okay, number two. Now we're getting to the books I really like. Okay, this one is Caravel, and I really like this book. I thought the characters were really nice, especially Julien, and yeah, there it was full of plot twists and like a lot of mysteries. So I really recommend it to anyone who likes fantasy and mystery, and also just like yeah, the plot was nice to follow, and yeah, the main character, she was also like really nice, especially with how much she cared about her sister, and the plot twists at the end were really nice. But I haven't read the other two, so I feel like I need to in order to judge this like fully the series. Anyway, now we're coming to number one, which is my one of my favorite books actually. So BookTok does have a lot of good stuff. It's called To Kill a Kingdom. Okay, so this one is really good. It's about like the siren, and she like usually on her birthday she always like takes the heart of a prince, because everyone there the sirens they take humans' hearts. And one time she did it before her birthday, so her mother forced her to become a human and go to the human realm in order to take a certain prince's heart as a punishment. And that prince is the one who like has been hunting her, because like they know of these sirens, and she's like the most dangerous one because she always targets princes. And yeah, so she as a human, like she pretends to be just a normal girl while she's secretly trying to steal his heart. And I mean, obviously it's enemies to lovers, and this is well done because they have reasons to hate each other, and then they develop, and it's like also the development of the main characters like really good. Like the girl, she like starts developing more empathy and stuff, and we also get like to see glimpses of her past, which is really interesting. And yeah, I mean, it has a small found family, and it's like a really sweet book, and it's really just really interesting, and it has such a great plot. I really liked it. It only had one book. I wish it had like it was a series, but it's I genuinely recommend this book a lot for fans of fantasy, enemies to lovers, character development. The characters were really interesting and really well written. I thought that their development and the relationships were very well done. So yeah, these were all the books I have read from BookTok. What's your opinion on this community? Do you like think that they have good recommendations, or do you agree with all the people that are like starting to really hate this online community?